Okay, now I will begin my speech in 1, 2, and 3. Ladies and gentlemen, this house will impoverish character. We agree with this motion. Do you agree with it? Character start from change, opportunity, and with the character. The character is people who don't use or miss opportunity, amount of money, or something that damage people. Definition of corruption comes from the Latin. Corruption has various meanings, namely the act of destroying or destroying. Corruption is also defined as rottenness, ugliness, and immortality, or insulting Southerners' words. Corruption is the misappropriation or misuse of money from companies, organizations, foundation, and so on from personal gain or others. There are two types of corruption, seen from the amount of money that was corrupt and the origin of or class of the perpetrators, namely, first, bureaucratic corruption, the corruption that occurs and the perpetrators are bureaucracy or low-ranking employees. The firm is usually accepting or asking for bribes in relatively small amounts from the public. This type of corruption is often called petty corruptions. Second, political corruptions. The perpetrators are political in the parliament, high-ranking government official, as well as low influence inside the courts. Corruption involves relatively large amount of money and people in high position in society, business, or government. This type of corruption is called grand corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know, effort to eradicate corruption in Indonesia has been carried out in a various way. But until now, there is still corruption in various ways carried out by various institutions. There are several dangers due to corruptions, namely society, individualism, generation politics, and nation economy and young people. There is threat in eradicating corruption, among others, in the form of structural, culture, instrumental, and management. Therefore, it is necessary to take steps to overcome them, including designing and reorganization, public service, transparency, supervision, and citations. Increasing the enforcement of supporting device in preventing corruptions. Ladies and gentlemen, in the law number 31 of 1919, corruption is classified into hard state, finance, and extortion, fraudulent act. In the context of eradicating corruption, it is necessary to carry out integrated international cooperation and harmonious regulations. As we know, the impact of corruption is very dangerous. Corruption hurts everyone. The impact of corruption goes beyond corruption individuals, the initial colleagues who are implicated, or the reputation of the organization they work for, humility, victorians, and who lost out. Corruption erodes the trust we have in the public sector to act our best interest. It also lost our tax or rates they have been for important community projects. That's meaning we have to put up in the poor quality service or infrastructure or we miss our all together. Ladies and gentlemen, the bad impact of this is financial loss, damage to employer morale, damage to organization reputation, organization focus and resource diverted away from deliver core business and service to the community, and increase security, oversight, and regulations. And with the community impact of corruption, what it is was types of funds, loss of God and service, lower community confidence in public authorities, disadvantage to honest business that miss out on government contract. A direct example of corruption is when building the construction of a highway in the place the corruptions material in the development process. And finally, a road is not good. It will harm to society. Ladies and gentlemen, corruption give a big effect for our many aspects: education, politics, and economy. For a direct example of corruption is when building the construction the highway. And another example from there, we can reflection what the best thing we do to improve our nations without corruptions. Maybe just for me. Thank you.
Okay, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. The mission 3 is this house would impoverish characters. That we know character is someone that does corruptions. From what I know, there are still many acts of corruptions going on around us. Corruption acts that occur not only take something that does not belong to it, but also eliminates the rights of the person who should be. The effect of this action affects all aspects of life that occur, from social, educational, and especially in the country economy which is disrupted. Corruption is an act that is very detrimental to the state. Corruption causes a slowdown in the country's economic growth, decreased investment, increased poverty, and increased income inequality. Corruption can also reduce the level of happiness of the people in a country. I think impoverishing the corruptors is an act that will be different if it happens. So far, we know that the law of an error that occurs will be punished by law. So impoverishing the corruptors at this time will be a very appropriate punishment. Take and also return what does not belong to the state. Corruption increased inequality, decreased popular accountability, and political responsiveness, and thus produce rising frustration and hardship among citizens, who are then more likely to accept or even demand hard-handed and illiberal tactics. Those tactics shift the blame for economic insecurity and political decline onto immigrants or other minority groups, and onto economic and political elites, who must, the theory goes, be dealt with civilly and decisively. The rule of law and liberal values of tolerance and human dignity then become obstacles to needed change. Even if citizens were to adamantly demand that the problems listed above be addressed, corruption undermines the power of politics. For example, to the extent the bribery trading in influence and state capture as our widespread political systems become incapable of addressing social problems, whose relation would threaten face interest. Naturally, this is never acknowledged as such from within state incapacity may manifest in a great many distracting and misleading ways, such as wage issue, political party restructuring, the emergence of scandals, and overwhelming outside issues that detract from structural problems, and so on. Under condition of strategic fashions, issues will be played off against each other in order to frustrate systemic reforms. Corruption can promises the ethos of public service and change political culture so as to render meaningful, public-spirited reforms virtual unthinkable. When corruption, in particular step captures, become the norm, this can lead to polarization among citizens, thus in support of corrupt regimens, because of kickbacks and handouts, versus those opposite to them. In the presence of diametrically opposite groups in society, compromise and recent discussions diminish. Policy is just not the basis of ideology or a project inherent merits, but on who the policy proponents are and what benefits competing networks and bring. And of course, this is done with not help alone, but from various parties who can assist in the implementation of government and society. The government, as a maker of the relevant regulations, should make regulations that can support the implementation of this role. And society, as a good citizens, it is hoped that the community will support this regulation by providing their aspiration. So the conclusion is that we agree and impoverishing characters can be one solution to prevent corruption from happening. Okay, that's all from me and thank you.